This is the TOSOT 24,000 BTU mini split air conditioner. The indoor head looks clean and modern, with a discreet front panel, rounded edges, and a slim LED temperature readout that fades into the face when it's off. The louver opens smoothly, and the TOSOT logo is small enough that it doesn't shout for attention. The outdoor condenser is compact and sturdy, with a dense coil pack and a blue fin-style coating to help resist corrosion. The whole setup feels solid in the hands, heavier than I expected at roughly 123 pounds for the combined shipment, so I planned my mounting and lifting carefully. From my experience, the setup is marketed as DIY friendly, and I did install it myself, but I won't sugarcoat what that means. I needed a 230-volt dedicated circuit, the right wire gauge for the run, and a breaker that matches local code. On the refrigeration side, I used a vacuum pump to pull air and moisture out of the lines, a set of gauges to verify the vacuum, a flaring tool to finish clean copper connections, and a torque wrench so I didn't over-tighten and crush the flares. If any of those terms are new, BTU refers to the cooling and heating capacity. SEER2 is the newer efficiency rating. The higher the number, the less energy the system uses for the same work. An inverter compressor is a variable speed motor that ramps up or down smoothly instead of clicking on and off, which helps efficiency and reduces noise. And pulling a vacuum is just removing air and moisture, so the refrigerant loop stays clean and dry. I installed this in a large workshop that's tough to condition, with sun exposure and big doors. I went with the 24,000 BTU size because I wanted strong cooling and reliable heat through the shoulder seasons. The spec sheet lists capacity as 1.5 tons, which might raise eyebrows since 24,000 BTU is commonly called 2 tons. But the BTU rating is what I pay attention to, and real sizing still depends on insulation, windows, and climate. I kept the line set length within the recommended range, wrapped the lines with UV-rated insulation, and added a drain line with proper slope so condensate wouldn't back up. Key features: Wi-Fi control through the GREE+ app, Alexa compatibility for voice commands, I-Feel mode that uses a temperature sensor in the remote to target where I am in the room, ultra heat for low temperature performance, dehumidify mode for sticky days, an efficient sleep mode, auto swing louvers, a published indoor noise level down to 24 dB, and a 5-year warranty. The manufacturer is GREE Electric Appliances of Zhuhai, which gives me confidence because GREE builds a lot of the mini-split hardware people already trust. The listing shows 4.4 out of 5 stars across dozens of ratings, and it sits in the split system category rather than window units, which is the kind of setup I prefer for permanent spaces. On the first power-up, I had a moment of doubt because the indoor display didn't light. I found out the remote batteries were weak from the drawer where I grabbed them. Fresh batteries and the display popped right on, so not the unit's fault. Once running, the indoor head was whisper quiet. The best way I can describe it is I hear airflow more than machinery. The outdoor unit is also muted for its size. I measured about what the spec suggests for normal operation, and I never got the droning noise I'm used to from older condensers. In my opinion, the inverter design is doing the heavy lifting here. When the space reaches temperature, the compressor settles into a low, steady rhythm instead of slamming on and off. Cooling performance is the reason I bought it, and it delivers. My space gets brutally hot in summer, and this unit pulls the temperature down fast. The air throw is long enough to reach the far side of the room, and the auto swing helps mix the air so I don't get a hot ceiling and a cold corner. On humid days, I'll run dehumidify mode to wring out moisture without overcooling, and it makes the shop feel less sticky. For heating, I tested it during a cold snap, and I was impressed. The marketing talks about low ambient heating down to well below zero, and while I didn't hit the bottom of that range, I had steady heat in the teens without electric backup. The defrost cycles were smart and brief. The GREE+ app is straightforward. I set schedules, tweak temperature on the way to the shop, and link it with Alexa so I can nudge the set point hands-free while I'm working. I-Feel mode is surprisingly useful. I set the remote near my workbench, and the unit aims for that temperature rather than the temperature at the head, which can be a few degrees off in a large room. From my experience, that small tweak makes comfort feel more even. Energy use has been lower than my old window and resistance heaters combined. With a SEER2 of up to 22, it's not the absolute highest spec on paper, but it's firmly in the efficient category. What I notice on the bill is steadier, lower consumption during hot stretches because the unit just cruises rather than blasting and resting. If efficiency terms sound abstract, think of SEER2 like miles per gallon for cooling. More miles per gallon means fewer dollars per hour of runtime. I did run into one minor install snag. My first flare wasn't perfect, and I caught it during the vacuum hold test. I practiced a couple flares on scrap copper, redid the line, pulled down to a deep vacuum again, and it's been tight ever since. That's a long way of saying the DIY path is doable, not effortless. I had the tools and patience, and I read the manual instead of winging it. If any part of high-voltage wiring or refrigerant connections makes me hesitate, I call a licensed installer. I'd rather pay a little than risk a leak or a warranty headache. On the topic of warranty and support, the unit carries a 5-year warranty, which I appreciate. I've seen mixed stories about customer service across different sellers. Mine arrived without damage, but I inspected the boxes carefully because shipping dings can happen with heavy equipment. The internal packaging around the coil and compressor looked robust. If I saw a crushed corner or bent grill, I'd photograph everything and contact the seller right away before installing, because installing a damaged unit can complicate claims. It's perfect for a garage shop, a bonus room, a home office, or a small retail space where central ducting isn't practical. The ductless design means I avoided tearing open walls for big vents, and the result looks clean. Noise is so low I sometimes forget it's on, which is great when I'm recording or on calls. I also like that it runs on 230 volts, which keeps current lower than a similar load on 120 volt circuits, though it does mean I needed that dedicated breaker. I'd recommend this for someone comfortable with light electrical work and careful mechanical steps, or someone planning to hire a pro but wants solid value and modern features. The hardware feels well built, the controls are simple, and the performance checks all my boxes. If a wall sleeve, line hide channels, or condenser pad are important to me, I plan those extras because they're not always included. I also add anti-vibration pads under the outdoor unit to keep harmonics out of the wall. Cheap upgrade, nice payoff. In my opinion, the TOSOT 24,000 BTU mini split hits a sweet spot. Strong cooling and heating, very quiet operation, and smart features that I actually use without being fussy. It looks clean on the wall, and the app plus voice control make day-to-day use painless. I respect that it's built by GREE, a name I've seen behind a lot of reliable systems. I keep realistic expectations about installation and support, and I treat the manual like a checklist instead of a suggestion. In conclusion, this system has made my space far more comfortable while trimming energy use and noise. I get quick cool downs, steady winter heat, and I don't have to think about it much. That's what I want from climate control. If I were starting again, I'd buy the same unit, plan the install carefully, and enjoy the quiet. If this video helped, please subscribe to the channel and drop a comment with your questions or your own experience with mini splits. Thank you for watching.